Hello viewers, welcome to the fourth section of this course, DOM interaction with React.js. In the previous section, we have learned what JSX is and how we can create a component in JSX. React components are similar to functions that take props, and state this will be explained in a later section. React components only render the single root node. If we want to render multiple nodes, then they must be wrapped into the single root node. Before we start working with form components, we should first take a look at props and state. The section will demonstrate the topics: form components, get into the form values on submit, Bootstrap helper classes. Now let's move to the first video of section 4, form components. In this video we will learn about props in form component, controlled component, uncontrolled component. Props and state. React components translate your raw data into rich HTML. The props and state together build with that raw data to keep your UI consistent. Okay. Let's identify what exactly it is. Props and state are both plain JS objects. They are triggered with a render update. React manages the component state by calling set state data callback. This method will merge data into this state and re-renders the component to keep our UI up to date. For example, the state of the drop-down menu visible or hidden. React component props properties that don't change over time. For example, drop-down menu items. Sometimes components only take some data with this props method and render it, which makes your components stateless. Using props and state together helps you make an interactive app. Form components. In React, form components differ from other native components because they can be modified via user interaction such as input, text area, and option. Here is the list of supported events: on change, on input, and on submit, on click, on context menu, on double click, on drag end, on drag enter, and on drag exit, on drag leave, on drag over, on drag start, on drop, on mouse down, on mouse enter, and on mouse leave, on mouse move, on mouse out, on mouse over, and on mouse up. A full list of supported events can be found in the official documentation at this facebook.github website. Props in form components. As we know, React.js components have their own props and state-like forms that support a few props that are affected via user interaction. Input and text area, components, input and text area value. Supported props, default value. Components, input type of checkbox or radio. Supported props, checked, default checked. Components, select, supported props, selected default value. In an HTML text area component, the value is set via children. But in React it can be set by value. The onChange prop is supported by all native components such as other DOM events and can listen to all bubble change events. The onChange prop works across the browser when the user interacts and changes. The value of input and text area, the checked state of the input type of radio and checkbox, the selected state of the option component. Throughout the section, we'll demonstrate how we can control a component with the properties prop and state we've just looked at. We'll then take a look at how we can apply them from the component to control the behavior. Control component. The first component we're going to look at is the one that controls the user input into text area, which prevents user input when the characters have reached the max length. It will also update the remaining characters when the user inputs. In this selected code, we have declared the value of text area, so when the user inputs, it will have no effect on changing the value of text area. To control this, we need to use the onChange event. You can find the entire code in section 4, component folder and textarea.js file. Here, we are using onChange event for updating the value of text area. Now let's see our control component page. We will see how to accept and control the value provided by the user and updating the prop value of the text area component. So, here I am going to type component. But now we also want to update the remaining characters of text area in span. We have to make small change in our code. Over here, this .set state value input after input, we need to add sub_str and give values as 0, max underscore, char. After sub_str, add char underscore left and give value as max underscore char input dot length. In this selected line of code, This would control the remaining value of text area and update the remaining characters when the user inputs. Now let's see a control component page. I will refresh this page, and I'm going to remove the exclamation from the comments box. As you can see, after I remove the exclamation, the characters number has been changed. It is now showing 129 characters left. The characters are updating. Now I will remove the remaining exclamation. Oh cool! It's again updating the characters. Now it is 130 characters. So, we have successfully updated the characters area in span. Uncontrolled component. As we've seen in React.js, when using the value property we can control the user input. So text area without the value property is an uncontrolled component. This will render the text area with an empty value, and the user is allowed to input the value that would be reflected immediately by the rendered element because the uncontrolled component has its own internal state. If you want to initialize the default value, we need to use the default value prop. It looks like the control component which we have seen before. Nice! We have successfully learned about form components.